Hello, everybody, and welcome back into Pigskin Pirates. This segment, we are going to go over each of our favorite teams' schedules. And to start us off, we're going to go with Alabama's schedule this year. So, really, my estimation that the first 5 games of this year for Bama look really favorable, if you ask me. Florida State is a little personal, just for me, just because they have
There's
beat
no
us
way.
for some reason.
There's
Yeah,
no way you guys
Go
lose
ahead.
them again. There's no way. And
No, there's no way. We have to be out for vengeance against
y'all should
those.
fire DeBoer on the spot if that happens.
It looks pretty favorable to me, the first 5 games of the season. But then, of course, Kirby Smart coming week 6. They come to us this year. So, we still have Kirby's number after all these years of him leaving us for Georgia. But I would expect by this point we would have starting quarterback, either Keelan Russell or Austin Mack. Hopefully not. They're not flip flopping in the first 5 or 6 games of the season. I hope that we actually pick a quarterback before the season starts and we roll with him, and he does very well for us. I would maybe lean to Austin Mack just because he's been there as a backup and he's learned the system and he knows what's going on. But Keelan Russell, he's more athletic. He is in the pocket or out of the pocket. He can run, the dual threat quarterback, which I like. You have to have that kind of quarterback in this day and age of college football. But hopefully we get that situated soon. Hopefully it won't be like last year where we had to pass 10 snaps a series against Georgia to win. Hopefully we have a really good running game too that can back us up and we can actually be balanced on offense.
Yeah, that's one of my concerns with Alabama. I do think the schedule is very manageable. I think this is.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a playoff potential team, but with this schedule, I project them in a playoff. But are you going to be able to?
I can see them being 10-2 this year.
The offensive line and running game, though, alarm me a little
bit. It has to be better.
Yeah, and they're going to make you have to throw the ball, and you cannot consistently win, especially in the playoff. It makes me think you'll be a one and done again in the playoff unless you can figure that out.
Yeah.
What do you know about Alabama's running game? Because I've heard there's a lot of effort back
being
a little more physical. It's kind of above the offensive line and the running back position.
Right. From what I do know, first from an offensive line perspective, is that we did grab a few guys from the portal this year, and we did revamp pretty much our entire O-line. So that should help us out a lot with our running game. I can't tell you specifically who our running backs are at this moment because I've been really focusing more on our quarterbacks. But I truly do hope that we have more balanced offense this year and our offensive coordinators, not throwing the ball 24/7. So we go to Tennessee or Knoxville this year, and I don't care who you are. The past few years going to Knoxville it's been challenging for us, and that's always a great game to watch. Like I respect the rivalry, always have. I love when it's that time of year. A&M could be a tricky one for us at home. I will say that quarterback of theirs, he's pretty good, and he can only get better too throughout the season. Now, at LSU, that's worrisome for me because it's Death Valley. It's called Death Valley for a reason. And, Kiffin, he's always wanted to beat Bama, even when Saban was there, but he never could. So he could have a grand opportunity this year to beat us. We go to Nashville to play Vandy. For some reason, that's been a good game the past 2 years. But I think that should be an easy one this year.
Maybe we get tickets, the three of us, to that game or something.
You know what? I really want to. I do plan on going to at least 2, Tuscaloosa games this year. Maybe I can go to that Vandy one too. Chattanooga Cupcake. And then a good old Iron Bowl with their new head coach, Golish. I don't know what to expect from him this year. He may be dealing with a lot of transitions and as a lot of new head coaches do anyways. So I do see the schedule being very favorable for us. I can see at least 2 losses in that.
Yeah,
Shoot, maybe even 3.
I think 3 is actually kind of pushing it because really it's that October schedule, October 10th through about November 7th. All 4 of those games are games that you guys could win or lose, kind of deal. That's
I agree.
That's going to make or break your season likely. The only one that scares me prior to that, maybe the South Carolina game could be potential, but the good news is you got that cushion of several games to develop your new quarterback and your new team, and that really helps you guys. Yeah. And you got South Carolina might be a little tricky at Mississippi State. It seems like you guys play well there, though, but that stubbed some teams. Florida and Spurrier in the past used to have a lot of trouble there, but it stubbed some teams in the past. But Alabama, I think, because it's so close to you guys, very familiar with that stadium, I don't think you guys have trouble. I have you guys beating Georgia. It just seems like something is in Georgia's head about the Alabama game. Have you guys in Tuscaloosa? I know. And then as a result, I have you guys losing at Tennessee, and I'll get this when I get Tennessee. I think Tennessee's going to have a very good running game with Deshaun Bishop, and I think they'll be able to run the ball, and that may be the difference. I think that's a game that's going to be like literally down to the wire. I had you guys losing to A&M, but then winning at LSU. For some reason, you always play good at LSU. Alabama does. But I could see you guys winning at Tennessee easily. I can see you guys beating A&M. I think that A&M, though, it was probably – of course, Georgia will be your toughest matchup, but A&M is probably your second toughest matchup, and they match up very well against Alabama to the point where they might match up better than even Georgia. I think it's going to be a tough one for you guys to win. I think they'll be able to run the ball on you and be very physical with Alabama. And I think Alabama, I hate to be this way, but DeBoer he plays a little more finesse, throw the ball around. And I think that A&M could, if they could stop your passing game, could really give you guys a lot of fits. Collin, what are your thoughts? This year, finally beats Alabama.
You're breaking my heart. I have my own. That's like, it's not as much as usual because the last time we played Alabama, we did beat them. But that's always like, if we play him in the regular season, that's like one of the games for Kirby because he, believe it or not, doesn't play too great against Alabama, in case you haven't noticed. And this is what I've ultimately decided. If they start Austin Mack, Georgia's going to win. If they start Keon Russell, Alabama's going to win. That isn't even to say that Austin Mack is worse than Keon Russell. I've been a Georgia fan for, we're going on almost 10 years now. If there's one thing Georgia is just bad at, it's containing a running quarterback. The worst game I've ever watched as a Georgia fan was that Jalen Milroe game where they went up 5 touchdowns against us in the first half. The reason why they did that was because Jalen Milroe was really fast. So, and that's not even saying Austin Mack can't move. He's a mobile quarterback, but Keon Russell almost reminds me of a skinnier Jalen Milroe, and that frightens me as a Georgia fan. So I honestly think it's going to come down to that. Who do I think they're going to start? I think they're going to start Austin Mack. I hope they do because of what I just said, but I think it's going to come down to that. Also, regardless, it's going to be a really good game, but that's my take on it.
Do you guys agree with us that they're a playoff team?
I feel like if they at least split that October 10th to November 7th split, maybe. Because, and then in my eyes, they'd only lose 2 games. I could see them. I could see them losing all 4 of those games. I could also see them only losing. I think they have to lose one of those games. It could be any of them. They're going to lose one of them. They're not going to go 4-0 in that stretch. If they at least lose 1 or 2, I think they're a playoff team.
Yeah.
Depending on the rest of, because like with them dropping, like say they lose to Georgia and A&M, where's your quality win? You beat LSU, who might not be in the top 25. You beat Tennessee, probably won't be in the top 25. Where's your quality win? That's like they might be like a really 10-11 seed or 10 seed maybe.
I think at 10-2 they're in. Let's say that you're correct. They lose to Georgia and A&M, and I don't have. I'd say they'd probably be in the top 25. But I don't have LSU and Tennessee in the playoff. Neither one of them. I don't think they're a playoff team.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
And that leaves nobody else. In fact, the other teams outside of maybe South Carolina, I don't think any of the other teams will make a bowl game. So yeah, you're right. But at 10-2, I think they're probably in, even with a softer schedule, because you get people like SMU or Indiana or whatever, they'll get in at 10-2. So
yeah.
I just think 10-2 is going to be good enough, even if they supposedly lose to A&M and Georgia. The Georgia and Tennessee game back to back is a little rough for them. I will say that, because they'll play Georgia and they'll be all into that, and then depends on how that game goes. They got to turn on, go to Knoxville the next week. That's a tough. Then really, let's say that depends on how it goes. They got to go to A&M. It is kind of rough. If they had those games more spread out across their schedule, they might be even more manageable. Having them all in a row, it does make it a little tricky.
Yeah. And I will say, if they do lose, both of them or either of them, especially in mid-October or October, the committee looks at that anyways. So it's really, you're in favor if you lose early in the season rather than late in the season.
Yeah.
Quick question, Sawyer. I know we lost you for a little while there, but defensively, because Alabama was one thing that was kind of surprising last year, especially as the year went on, is the quality of level of play you got from your defense. Your defense played very well, especially ability to put pressure on the quarterback. How is do they have a lot of returning starters? They lose a lot of players from last year. I didn't quite haven't heard.
So it's kind of like in the middle.
Yeah.
So we did lose a couple, and then we gained a couple in the portal. So it's kind of like half and half. But our DC since Saban retired and DeBoer got his staff in, he has done an outstanding job so far with that defense, and I do like the way that it is trending. I think that our defense can have more upside this year rather than our offense, because there's more question marks on our offense than our defense right now. That's my main concern. But in tight games this year, I'm going to rely on our defense to save us in games. That's what I think.
Well, I think we've kind of summed up. I think we're all in alignment that Alabama's probably a playoff contender. Could compete for even the SEC championship game again. I think they're going to be pretty good this year. I think they. It wouldn't be too laughable, so they could even go 12-0. I don't think they will, but it's. I don't have anybody in the SEC going 12-0. The one that had the greatest chance is Georgia. But I don't think anybody's going 12-0. But it's
that October slate right there. They're bound to lose one or two games in that slate.
The key is, can they avoid losing? DeBoer has always lost usually a road game against somebody he shouldn't. You see, look at here, maybe Vanderbilt. I don't know. That would be pretty bad.
I will say last year that was his first year being in the playoff. So we did make some strides there. This year, I do expect a little more.
Yeah. And you should,
coming this year.
and probably
Yeah.
hopefully should get a little more. But yeah, I think this is a playoff team definitely. And I have to guess who all have in the playoffs. I know I have Oklahoma, Georgia, A&M. I think it was Alabama, and there's one more. I can't remember. I actually don't have Texas. Texas is the one that's right on the fringe, though. I'll get to that when I talk about Texas. Just because their schedule. But yeah, I think we're good to talk about Alabama. Next up, Georgia. Collin, you're on deck.